So for a lot of things, and for this panel in particular, we're going to be basically working with this area of the board is our beginning of the story, and this area is our end. The main goal is to make this look like a conspiracy theorist's wet dream by the time that we're done. I have 3 types of string. Who knows what plot lines they're going to develop? Maybe it'll be romantic sub-interests, maybe it'll be alternate storylines in a parallel dimension.
I gave your badge to someone at registration.
Okay. But, so yeah. Like for instance, I've set up a loose idea of how I want this panel to go to. So we've got the start of panel. That's going to lead into laughter, hopefully. And then we've got the end of the panel. But maybe something might occur between, you know, somewhere around here, somewhere around here. Like, I don't know. We've got Seraphim on this panel. Who knows, you might just cause somebody's, I don't know, sexual awakening or an existential crisis. Let's go ahead and add that right there.
It's happened more than once.
Seraphim, go stand next to somebody. Because I'm thinking, after everybody's laughed, which I just heard it, everybody laughed, it worked. I'm going to think somebody's going to morph into the fursuit next to them. So congratulations. Everybody meet Seraphim 1, Seraphim 2. Yeah, that's basically how the premise is going to go. I don't know, I see 2 fursuits right now. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
You see 2, I see 7.
Oh no, they're multiplying. It's Invasion of the Seraphim. But that's basically how this game is going to go. We're going to figure out what's going to happen with the story. It's going to get added to the board. It's going to get increasingly convoluted. My goal is to try and follow the story. I intend to fail, or else the audience isn't doing their job good enough.
The question is the Seraphim a bacteria or a virus?
This is a great question. Let's bring a CDC character in to study this.
Hi, I'm an actual microbiologist.
Fantastic. Seraphim is now studying himself.
I'm studying to be a pharmacist. So
Oh,
I've got at least a year of biology belt, so I got something.
Ah, very nice.
But for now, let's clear the board, because as the title says, this is fantasy plotline. So the very first thing we're going to need is a protagonist. Feel free to bring yourself insert person, because there's going to be a lot of bad things happening to them.
Protagonist.
I shall use my persona then.
Clear the board a little bit. This line feels too straight.
Here's your protagonist.
Ooh.
Accident-prone cat.
So, adventuring on this fantasy adventure, we have an accident-prone cat. I'm going to go ahead and put that right up here. And let's go ahead and label it. Protagonist. Again, I already lost the cap. Stop trying to take off the marker tip. So, we've got our protagonist. It's an accident-prone cat. What kind of fantasy setting should we put him in? What do you think, Sarah? Where can he get into the most trouble? Where can we put this accident-prone cat that he will get into the most accidents?
I like to think a medieval-themed fantasy where all number of sharp objects are. And battle. And magic.
Now, is this cat from this fantasy world?
No.
Got it. It's an isekai. Time to break out the trope stack.
I mean, it's certainly better than Curiosity's actual lore.
And, by the way, feel free to just interrupt the heck out of me. Wait, this is a 17 plus panel. Interrupt the fuck out of me. Because this is going to be a lot of, ooh, I have a thing. I have an idea. Feel free to jump up, announce. It's a small enough group that, you know, everybody can engage. It's going to be a good time.
Curiosities for the cat?
Only if it kills him.
Okay.
Don't worry, we can play with resurrection. This is not supposed to be a good story. Narrative value doesn't matter.
I mean, it hasn't killed me yet.
Isekai.
Yep.
What you got?
What's the card?
It's more of the location for the setting, enchanted rose forest.
Ooh.
There you go. Enchanted Rose Forest.
Fantastic. So we've got our Protag Kun, Enchanted Rose Forest, some Isekai Fantasy. Let's go ahead and stick all these right here. There we go. So we've got our basic setting. We've got our protagonist. They're somewhere. They don't know what's going on. You know, like my co-host. What's the very first thing that should happen to them in this enchanted rose forest?
14 werewolves.
14 werewolves? Isn't that a little too tropey?
15 werewolves.
15 werewolves. So,
Unnecessary time travel.
ooh, unnecessary time travel.
That works.
Love it. What else we got?
Since drop air attacks, gelatinous cube dispenses wisdom and/or exposition.
Fantastic. I don't know when these are going to happen because we've got some unnecessary time traveling going on, but let's put them on the board and see where they land. A singed Australian drop bear attacks. Let's go ahead and put that right down here. Sarah, can you hold that for a second? Thank you.
Yay, first death.
And a gelatinous cube dispenses wisdom and exposition. That's perfect for the middle part. Now, unnecessary time travel. This is less of an event, but let's go ahead and put it up in this corner because it's going to be happening a lot. So, in every good isekai, there's always a love interest, right? Or maybe it's every bad isekai. I don't know. I'm thinking we need some sort of interactive character for our accident protagonist Kun.
I think I already mentioned 15 werewolves. I don't know what you're...
15 werewolves. Okay, it's a harem anime. Got it. Don't worry. We can have competing.
I support him with this gay harem.
Who said the
We
werewolf?
need at least one werewolf girlfriend or it's not complete.
I see the 15 werewolves and there is 13 dragons.
Oh,
Oh, so many people.
I can't write that.
It's a
off.
flight of dragons.
13 dragons, 15 werewolves. God, that's 28 instances of him dying.
Sure, dying.
Let's see. The handwriting needs to be small. So let's see. Where, oh, where should these fellow-friendly individuals go? So, should it be 15 werewolves right at the start, or 13 dragons?
Dragons.
Go ahead and plug that in right up here. And let's see. I think the 15 werewolves should save our accident-prone cat from the singed Australian drop bear attack.
Works for me.
Let's go ahead and put this right over here. And do tuck tip, loop to loop. Perfect. All right. So we've still got time travel up on the board. So let's do something fun with that. Right now, our accident-prone cat has arrived in a mystical, magical rose forest where he met 13 Is this a kid's show? I feel like this is a kid's show.
No.
Oh yeah, gelatinous cube dispenses wisdom and exposition. At which point, a singed Australian drop bear attacks, and his recently made friends, the 15 werewolves, save him. The end. Wait, that's a really shitty climax.
I've got a mid story piece for you.
Oh no!
Extensively boring algebra that leads absolutely nowhere.
Extensively. Wait, does this tie into the time travel? This probably ties into the time travel.
The algebra?
Extensively boring algebra
Wow.
that leads nowhere.
Were you at MST3K?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense then. That tracks.
I've got a dystopian future of black sharks and toxic waste.
Fantastic. This is a new setting. I'm glad to see that we're starting to get convoluted.
Sounds awful.
I'm going to go ahead and put it right down here so we can drag stuff over. I need a stronger easel. That's what I need. And let's see.
Is like the broken glass mixed with the toxic waste, or is it just like here's some glass, there's some waste?
Piles of
There's
both.
just big old piles of glass.
Yeah.
That seems.
Safe.
Yep.
At least there's a tetanus involved.
Here with the
I
unnecessary.
don't think you can get tetanus from glass.
Maybe you can in the future. It's future glass.
Future glass. Mix some metal with that glass.
Oil
Extra
content.
deadly.
Stained glass.
Dirty glass.
Dirty glass. Oh, there you go. Dirty glass. Right?
So we've got one timeline going pretty strong here. But maybe it's time for a second one, just to really get things confusing and convoluted. Let's see, we'll still use the same protagonist here. Go ahead and loop that right there. I actually want to go behind so I don't cause the first one to absolutely not want to move. So, we've got our kitty cat in his rose forest. But also, now there's algebra, and he's time traveling.
With algebra.
But I think it's a fixed point in time that there's always going to be a gelatinous cube that dispenses wisdom and exposition.
Cubes are timeless.
Cubes are timeless, especially when this cube has survived long enough to be in the dystopian future of glass shards and toxic waste dumps.
I have a toxic waste cube full of glass.
The end.
Terrifying.
It is very terrifying.
We're going to solve something through the power of friendship.
Oh, the power of friendship.
Oh,
What
you
you got
got it.
miraculously saved by your father, your brother father.
Oh no, a brother father. Wait, is he half dragon, half werewolf?
Sure. Dragons pretty much make half things about anything. Half dragon, half werewolf, half dragon, half elf, half dragon, half pretty much anything else.
Let's see. I'm gonna put this right over here in the I got attacked by something category. We'll figure out how that comes into play later.
Welcome to insanity.
So, for those of us who have sort of wandered in since we gave the initial explanation, there are a couple of clipboards floating around, there's a couple note cards floating around. Feel free to grab some note cards, grab some Sharpies, write down some really stupid ideas in the form of events, people, places, convoluted plot twists, characters. I don't know, I'm just going to keep making up stuff until this panel comes together and is a cohesive thing.
Like a cube.
It is a cube. Gelatinous cube. I'm dispensing wisdom.
You can need another person.
Oh.
Yeah, another person, another protag.
Oh. Another pro tag for the spin-off series?
Right, in the toxic waste glass hellscape that is the second plotline.
Ooh. So, gentlemen, what should be our second alternate universe protagoon in this convoluted fantasy hellscape that I've created for myself?
Alternate universe or alternate universe protagonist?
Yeah, it could be like a Doctor Who thing.
Well, new or character?
New character.
New character.
A new site. For Doctor Who. Not a number of things.
What you got?
The new protagonist is Oscar the Goldfish.
Oscar the Goldfish. Okay, he's gonna be in the future. Let's see. When does protag?
I would assume he's probably a mutant goldfish
Definitely.
because toxic waste.
Definitely. I think Oscar's pretty smart, so he'll probably be the one who explains all the completely useless algebra. So let's go ahead and put him right up here.
He doesn't have to worry about glass because he's in the water.
Yeah, he's immune to the toxic glass shards of death. Okay, so we've got two disparate timelines. Let's figure out why they come together. Here we have Protag Coon Cat, who's very accident prone. We still haven't put him through any proper accidents yet. Protag Coon Cat, he's an enchanted rose forest. Let's see, I gotta follow this thread. He meets 13 dragons. as well as a gelatinous cube that dispenses wisdom and exposition. Suddenly, he's attacked by a singed Australian drop bear, but he's saved by 15 werewolves. Apparently this is a romance show. The end. And it was resolved using a paradox. Shit. Any more push pins? I put wholly too few push pins down initially.
Paradoxes don't solve problems, they cause problems.
I know, that's why I'm going to put it at the beginning
Would
of the
that be a paradox in itself then? Double paradox.
Put that right in the middle because we're probably going to come back to that a lot. There's that. Let's see. So the main storyline, we've got a beginning, we've got some sort of exposition, and we've got an antagonist. Bingo! A poorly animated cyberpunk character bent on getting revenge on their ex-employer, the protag.
The goldfish?
CD Projekt Red. Oscar the Goldfish just got a lot of character development all at once.
That'll happen.
So Oscar the Goldfish, a developer for Project Red apparently, now has a poorly animated cyberpunk character after them. What does this poorly animated cyberpunk character do to Oscar the Goldfish?
Probably glitch the hell out and then wait.
Earn your 17+ rating. Which way do I read this?
The way
Because it looks like it says Infinite Ham.
Inflation King.
Inflation King.
Good king.
It is a good king. Let's see.
And he's a goldfish. Maybe he's a cool toy goldfish.
Pool toy goldfish. I love it.
And
Now,
then
let's
the
see.
glass makes him more dangerous now.
Now, question, is the poorly explained algebra that absolutely goes nowhere them describing the vectors of him increasing inside his glass bowl?
No, I think the poorly explained algebra is what goes into the poorly designed avatar for the cyberpunk game.
Ooh, okay, then I'm going to need to move
That
this.
you're going to have to wait about 8 more months to properly patch up before it's actually playable.
Move them down just a little bit.
No real life examples listed.
Now, question, does the gelatinous cube come in before or after the Inflation King?
After? Before? I don't know. You can't play a goo creature, kid.
Maybe he goes for the goo and he's just like, I'm always blobby. You can't get any more
Or maybe
wisdom.
the gelatinous cube's what inflates.
Maybe that's why he goes good, to try and understand why this has happened to
Oh,
him.
we're in my realm now, baby. This
This is why I put you on the panel, because I knew it was going to happen.
yeah.
Okay, let's get a little slack going. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'll keep a little bit of slack, because the timelines are getting tight. This board is beginning to look fun. So, okay, let's try a summary real quick. No. So, initially, we have the accident-prone protagonist cat, who's in an isekai, rose-chanted forest, where he meets 13 dragons, and subsequently is dispensed exposition and wisdom by a gelatinous cube. He gets attacked by a singed Australian drop bear, and is saved by 15 werewolves. They have a wedding. The end. I'm putting that one in. Question mark? I don't know if they would qualify this as a wedding, but it's something. Some kind of ceremony. Put this right down here before the end.
By the way, if you enjoy goofers and inflation, I have a booth in the dealer's stand. Smile Down Studio.
And the books are very, very good. There we go.
Do they
Okay.
require an air compressor?
Yes.
That leads to the end, maybe. Now, let's see. That's the first timeline. Let's talk about the more interesting one at the moment. We have our Protancoon, accident-prone cat. That shouldn't be down there. This is the sci-fi fantasy. There we go. He gets immediately introduced to Oscar the Goldfish, who subsequently shows him up and actually becomes the real protagonist. You know, first chapter protagonist syndrome. Where Oscar dispenses some extensively boring algebra that leads nowhere, which somehow creates a poorly animated cyberpunk character bent on getting revenge on their ex-employer, CD Projekt Red. So, developer. Subsequently, inflation kink happens. Is that why you're pointing the wand at me? I'm scared. And of course, this all takes place in the dystopian future of glass shards and toxic waste. That's how the inflation kink happens, isn't it? It's the toxic waste.
That's how it stops happening with glass.
But we still have one that's just kind of floating here. So, question. Is he being saved from the inflation kink, or does something else happen right around here that he needs saving from?
Oh, like a terrible situation or an Vegas?
Oh. I'm scared again. I see. So, miraculously saved by your father, that's brother and father combined, Oscar here is getting saved from a beach episode.
Goldfish hate beach.
It's too big. It's too big of a bowl. This is also in the toxic dystopian future of like glass and waste dumps.
Yeah,
So
probably a lot of glass on the beach.
Yeah, I think a beach episode in that setting would be absolutely fucking terrifying.
There's glass on the beach now, it's terrible.
But I think, so we've got that, and we've got how he's saved. But I think he was
You're missing
saved.
the filler arc.
Oh no.
You're missing the filler arc.
The filler arc?
You're missing the filler arc.
Jesus. I'm going to put this off in its own little bubble. We'll get back to it later. We now have, somewhere in our story, a filler arc featuring Dr. Robotnik and Robbie Rotten teaming up to take down the Suicide Squad.
And this is where they're doing it.
I watched that.
You should write a mistake episode.
Oh yes, now the juices are flowing. Apparently, the Suicide Squad takedown mission is taking place in a steampunk land where everything is powered by crystals. Okay, that's really on brand. I like that one a lot. What's this one
Could
say?
explain the glass shards too, depending on which timeline it ends up.
Yeah, that's true.
The cube is part of a hive mind with another character. Plot twist.
I took a one card from when I walked in.
Cubes can't be trusted.
Let's see if I can
Never trust the cubes.
Never trust a cube.
stay.
They got algebra.
With their perfectly shaped sides.
Anyways, I had this left. I think we need some action.
Laser eyes.
Losing an eye.
Oh, that's not cybernetic, but it is accident prone and good.
Well,
if you want to
lose
butcher
an eye,
my
you can put the
spelling,
cyber eye
go
in.
for it. My handwriting is shit. I don't
And then
think I
your
need
cyber eye can
If you can
do
read
powers.
it, go for it.
Let's get a couple of push pins. So, Sarathan,
Yes.
where in our timelines should we put this filler arc?
Well, losing eye is clearly the cyberpunk dystopian future. And then that's Rest.
So we've got a filler arc featuring Dr. Robotnik and Robbie Rotten teaming up to take down the Suicide Squad.
See, that's the reason we're in that future to begin with. They won. They beat Sonic.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh no! Unnecessary time travel.
Yep. As played by Jim Carrey.
Next time I'm just going to get a volunteer to stand up here, and then that way I can just stab them over and over again.
The volunteer? That's probably not.
Probably.
Probably not in the guidelines.
I don't know, they'll get a lot of hours for it. Do they count hospital stays as hours? I feel like they do.
When they charge you.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and losing an eye.
Losing eye is totally cyberpunk. Because then you get the new cyber eye. And it hacks or sees through stuff. Or, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put this over here.
It should be given to the goldfish, because why not?
But Pro-Tycoon is very accident-prone.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
Let's see. Oh no, I'm running out of string. That's not true, I just tied everything too tight. Let's go ahead and gelatinous cube to sense his wisdom. There's an eye lost. Let's see. They need some unnecessary time travel to get out of the main storyline because they have to go to the second one.
What if both lost the eye and they both get an eye, but it's each other's eyes, and then they can see through each other's eyes?
Ooh.
Merging the timelines.
Good. Fantastic. Perfect. Exactly what we needed. So let's...
I'm a writer.
This is less of a creative writing exercise and more of a how dumb can we get?
Oh, so it's D&D.
It's D&D! Fighting with the legends of yore. Let's see, dystopian future, beach episode. Ah, here's where I need the string. Let's keep pulling this plot line because eventually I'm going to run out of it. Hopefully. Probably not. For big schools. And I need you all the way up here. Lose an eye. Unnecessary time travel.
I think we need another love interest.
Ooh, another love interest?
Maybe
It's true. Oscar hasn't had...
Triangle. Oh, alright, well.
Oh! Yes!
The cube's love interest, Sam the Necromancer.
Oh no.
Oh.
Guys, I think I'm gonna need another thread. Because this cube needs a spin-off series.
It's QB. My D&D game, we had a cube called QB the Janitor. Cleaned up after places.
Because there's a lot of eye loss I'm seeing in these plot lines, and gelatinous cubes are usually cyclopean when I see them portrayed.
Mm-hmm. What you thinking? Let's go ahead and loosen these out a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Trying to follow this thread again. Project Squiggle Fish. And there's losing an eye.
Also, my players murdered QB the Janitor too. It was very sad. Sad funeral.
Let's see. The brother does the saving, but of course, it's resolved by a paradox. Which explains the whole brother-father thing. There we go.
All happened.
Get you back on track. Nice. Now, I've got to know. Does our accident-prone cat meet the lover or the cube first?
Cube. What about at the same time?
Oh. Well, if Necromancer's in a lich, he could be inside the...
Oh, does
What's the rating of this?
17 plus.
He could be inside the gelatinous cube and take that however you want.
First time for the colored sticky note addendum. Let's go. Side. Bam. There we go. Wait, is the cube a hive mind with the necromancer? Is that how committed this relationship is?
Possibly.
That's terrifying. I do not want to deal with a necromancing gelatinous cube. That is absolutely horrifying.
Oh, see, that'd be terrible because the cube would eat a person and then animate the skeleton.
The cube could, preserve raw materials for the necromancer.
You should have been my friend, and then I got an addition for the cube arc.
Oh, fantastic. I love this one. So, we've got a new character. 3 kobolds in a trench coat.
Classic.
Classic.
I'm going to put that right in the middle of the story because that is very important content. This is very important. Everyone should appreciate 3 kobolds.
They have to go off and do a business.
Yep. And trope, evil twin.
Oh. Now, is the evil twin with a goatee or the bizarro evil twin that they're exactly like?
Evil twin with the eye patch.
Oh, the eye patch evil twin. There's where you lost an eye.
Go.
Oh no, third time
It
around.
all makes sense. Does it?
I'm going to put this right over by the paradox because I think that's going to become relevant. And let's write eye patch on it.
And they ask, how'd you lose the eye? It's like, it's too long a story. And then that's the episode, how he lost the eye.
Okay. Let's take this silver
Too
thread
long
and
a
start.
story. So let me begin telling you.
Exactly.
Guys,
Well, if it's too long of a story, then it began when I was... It's too long of a story. Oh.
He's there with more exposition. I didn't know this was turning into a Naruto episode. Let's see. Where do I have space? Here's some space. I put this right over here.
Naruto. Like episode 50, I'm like, there's still the bridge? What?
I think we need some character development.
Yes.
Oh, cheesy.
Oh, you can't read my handwriting.
I cannot.
Plenty of workers in warehouses.
Workers and warehouses.
Workers in your house.
I need to put this on the beach episode.
Yep. Classic role reversal. I'm a level 6 office manager, says the troll barbarian. Roll to collate.
Your
14.
performance review is coming up.
I rolled a 14. Your boss is pleased. But you don't get the promotion.
Oh.
Brrr. Curse you, Dimco!
Dimco.
I just watched Yes Man.
Ah.
Another Jim Carrey vehicle. That's 2 now.
Okay, we've got a lot of floating dots, so let's get some of these boys covered. Here we have the slime arc. So obviously it's going to be centralized by the real protagonist and secret protagonist of the show, the gelatinous ooze, which dispenses wisdom and exposition and has a necromancer boyfriend who lives inside him. Let's see. End of the story. There's something about an evil twin in here.
Yep.
So, gotta put that over here. I'm gonna go ahead and say, since there's an eye patch involved, maybe the evil twin was the one who lost the eye.
I can see that.
And that's why there's a filler arc.
Is it Goldie's evil twin?
Is
Two
it
goldfish? Or maybe it's Gelatinous Cube's evil twin.
What if?
Because then that would be silly for him to have the eye patch.
Here, I got it. It's the evil twin.
Oh.
It's how it came to be.
Oh gosh. Cube's side arc. Cubesley versus Pac-Man Showdown. So, according to the narrative structure of things, I actually have to put this at the beginning because this is Cubesley's backstory.
And it's a name. This wouldn't work, but I just thought it'd be funny if the evil twin responds to the 15 werewolves, so it's 15 werewolves with eye patches versus 15.
Okay, here's this. It needs to be, let's see, each episode, goes over here, goes over there, goes over there. 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Where are they going? Why are they here? What important role do they play?
They have to
I think
deliver
you have
the
to write
MacGuffin.
the main plot line.
You could make,
Do we have a MacGuffin out there?
you could do something to the effect of like, you know how you sometimes have like those cheesy 80s cartoons where they have a narrator? The narrator is the 3 kobolds in the trench coat.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, it's a noir now.
3 kobolds in a trench coat have to solve a murder mystery. And now we know why there are 3 series spanning this nonsense. Because they need clues from all of them to solve this murder mystery.
It's all done.
Let's see. I think...
A memeable MacGuffin that can also be noir-ish if need be.
The Maltese pool toy.
Love it. You gotta find it.
They do have a
You
mind.
gotta find the Maltese pool toy.
Now question, is it the goldfish searching for it?
Well, of course, then you can bring an inflation king.
Not where I anticipated this going, but I'm glad to see that it is here. I'm going to put this right down in the corner because I think everything that we tie to it needs to take a hard divert. Okay, let's see. Slime murder line. I think that this three kobolds with a mysterious storyline, since they're the narrators for most of this, you actually need to take all three of it, and that's how you know you're watching a convoluted storyline.
I mean, if they're the narrator, it's a film noir, they're breaking the fourth wall.
There we go.
I feel like we need to tie those kobolds into the story, and maybe they could introduce our main character to their sidekick, their grunkle,
Oh, look at you guys.
grandpa uncle.
Oh no, we've got a Grunkle stand. Grunkle. Oh, goody. Gosh. Let's see. I've got space. Here. It's just barely visible between all this. I don't want to pin it on that card. There we go. So, let's see. The three kobolds in a trench coat introduce the three storylines that we have. That actually makes a lot more sense. It's introducing the three storylines that we have going on.
Right?
First of all.
Each kobold introduces the storyline.
Yep.
They switch bit.
So, on our Cube storyline, since that's the most recent, we have his backstory. Everybody should know Cubesy. He's introduced in the first two storylines. One following Oscar the Goldfish after an accident-prone protein cat dies after going to the future. Because he was over here, not anywhere else in that particular storyline, it seems. Oscar has to deal with his poorly animated cyberpunk character that he apparently coded. Subsequently, they meet in the gelatinous cube who dispenses wisdom, as well as his the cube's lover, Sam the Necromancer, who lives inside the cube. Inflation kinks happen. That's all in the dystopian future. Then we have a beach episode. That's great. Toxic waste everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. This goes back up here. Somebody lost an eye in the beach episode, and that's concerning. Like that's really bad.
It's the evil twin.
And it was resolved with a paradox. I don't remember tying it to that one, but I'm glad it's there. And that was miraculously saved by your father.
Brother.
Yeah. The end. Let's see. Got that storyline. Where's the main storyline thread? The main
I
storyline.
like how we kind of abandoned the poorly designed character in the Cyberpunk game, just like CD Projekt Red.
Evil twin, eye patch. They lost an eye. But they need to go this way. They need to lose an eye first, and then they need to come back, and then they have the eye patch. Then the side arc happens. And then it needs to be resolved with a paradox. So everything in this story needs to be resolved with a paradox. What a tangled web we weave. Like this. I'm going to knock it over with the power of string.
And friendship.
String and friendship. Eye patch and wedding. And the end. This is beginning to look good. Let's see. I think we need to take a step back and do something with our 13 dragons and 15 werewolves. Because they've been chilling in the first plot line. And
That's
that is
true.
way too much like to just leave sitting there.
So something involving 13 dragons and or 15 werewolves? A conflict?
A conflict,
Or
a quarrel between houses.
perhaps a different type of plotline.
Any suggestions? Any of the new people who have wandered into the room since we started? Don't worry, if you don't have the card, I have plenty up here and I can always write it myself.
I guess we want to shout it out. What 13 dragons could be doing.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was asking if anything.
No.
That's the best part. I said there was going to be in-jokes in the description. That's one of the in-jokes. Oh, I see what they're doing. Oh, Lord. That is a fate that I do not wish on my worst enemy. 13, 15. It's a 28-player game of workers and warehouses.
That's it. We have figured out our plot.
Yep, and that is easily looped into the Peach episode plotline. Got it, so that's...
Workers and Warehouses isn't D&D, it's LARP. It's a LARP game. The dragons come in ties, like business cases.
Right to pointless detail. Alkali cameo.
Oh, Alkali cameo. Where do I want to put him? Where do I want to put Alkali?
He brings in the Maltese Wolfboy.
Guys, I figured out why the cube has so much wisdom and exposition. He's actually a hive mind with Alkali.
And the necromancer?
And the Necromancer, yeah.
Yeah.
Necromancer pops out of the cube and goes, I'm not here! Sinks back in.
Let's go ahead and put this right down here.
That make the cube zany.
Is the cube Zanny? Oh no. I'm just gonna, it's not even a cameo anymore, it's just Alkali. Here we go. Oh. Okay, let's see. I may need to start writing this down. Okay, so, first things first. This entire cinematic universe is told by 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Doesn't matter which line you follow it, the narrator is a kobold in a trench coat. Someone's following the thread better than I am. Because we have a new item to toss into the mix. Murder Mystery Clue. An abandoned workers and warehouses board game.
So are these LARPers trying to solve a real-life murder?
Wait, is that why the kobolds are in a trench coat? They need to be tall enough to participate in the LARP?
Yes.
Yes.
Got a little bit of space up here. Okay. I was talking and I lost my own train of thought. That is exactly about the time level for this panel. Speaking of, okay, 10 more minutes. Great. Sure. Another clue has been added to the pot. A sticky dagger.
Maybe the Jonas cube had it. That's why it's sticky.
You would think that's the obvious suspect.
Or the 15 werewolves.
Yeah, probably 15 werewolves.
Almost certainly.
I just count them as one.
Put this down here. Oh boy. Okay. So right now we have 3 clues on the board and we need to tie them to 3 characters. Let's see. 1 clue per storyline. This is a great time.
I was looking at the top of the board, the murder mystery at the very top left.
Yep.
Is what the kobolds are trying to solve.
Yep. That is the entire story of the plot line, and we figured that out like 3 minutes ago, and I immediately forgot it. So, overall metaverse storyline. We have 3 kobolds in a trench coat. They're trying to solve a murder mystery. Apparently, each one is from a parallel timeline, because that is the only way that they know about these things happening. But they like to get together on weekends, to go to the workers and warehouses.
They're all the same
The whole toy can totally be a clue.
Oh, they are all the same
They're all the
kobolds.
same kobold. But if anyone saw them, it would cause paradox.
Yep. So let's see.
Kind of like Back to the Future.
I'm definitely dragging the
2.
inflation-based timeline over for the Maltese pool toy.
Right.
That just, it has to.
I think that's a given.
But also, there's a beach episode So that makes sense why the Maltese pool toys over here. Go ahead and put this here. Okay.
Well, the beach is full of glass. Maybe the Maltese pool toy is unpoppable.
An unpalpable.
Unpoppable pool toy. Just go over glass.
All right. What timeline do we find the sticky dagger?
Oh, maybe someone tried to murder the Maltese.
Maybe it's part of the wedding.
Oh my. To cut the cake, that's why it's sticky.
Totally.
With icing.
Blue thread. Do a little bit of loosening on this one. Where is... There we go. Oh wait, did the 15 werewolves save our accident-prone cat protagonist with the sticky dagger, which is then subsequently used as a cake knife at the wedding?
Yes.
Perfect. Fantastic.
Cat protect marries the 15 werewolves.
Wait,
And
does
they
that,
cut the cake.
does that make the 13 dragons the eggs?
Yes.
Okay, but they're supportive of the relationship, just making sure.
Right, it was broke up on like friendly terms.
Yeah, it was good terms. Otherwise, they wouldn't be along for the entire adventure.
Or be playing workhouse workers together.
Me too. That's where the slack is up here. Perfect.
Or maybe it's like an open relationship, like 13 dragons, 15 worlds, and the cat protect.
I need a whole second board for this web of interconnected polyamory going on up here.
You lost your setting.
Like have you
Oh
ever,
no!
like have you, if you ever seen like Zoolander 2, that's how I imagine the werewolves and the dragon. They're all like one entity essentially, because Owen Wilson gets the entire I forget what he calls it, the entire group of people he's with pregnant at the same time. We're pregnant, and just everyone, including Kiefer Sutherland. I'm pregnant too.
Okay.
But I lost the baby. It's a stupid movie. It's so dumb. It's not a very good movie. But it's worth exactly one watch. That's it. That's all you need.
That sounds like an MST3K movie.
Kinda.
Okay, so.
Also, it's got the kid from Deadpool 2.
Ooh, that's fun. Let's jump back to our adventures with Oscar the Goldfish here. The extensively boring algebra that somehow created his antagonist, who apparently had the abandoned workers and warehouses board game. I don't know how it's abandoned if he actually has it, but this thread doesn't make any
It's
sense
an old
anyway.
rule book, the old rule set. They're on like 4.0.
Plot cohesion? What's that? Sounds
Yeah.
boring.
Let's see. Of course, it gets stuck with the inflation king. I'm gonna make an addition to this one. We know the toxic waste is affecting it. But this needs a little more fantasy. Because that abandoned board game is definitely a magical item. Who knows what it does? It might just be the smoking gun at the end of this plot line. Let's see.
Chekhov's warehouse.
But it only shows up in the second season, which is when we follow Oscar the Goldfish's storyline. Let's see. We've got
Or it could be like Game of Thrones and just completely forget about it.
The writer wanted to reboot the series, but couldn't.
They wouldn't let me do a full reboot. I only see one pin that I haven't tagged yet, which is the Grunkle. He's a sidekick for someone. Do you think Oscar could use a sidekick?
Probably. Don't want to be a lonely goldfish. And then you have an intense scene where Oscar and his evil twin are trying to convince Grunkler not to shoot the other one. It's like, I'm the real Oscar. I'm the real Oscar. Like somehow they also have an eye patch for a reason.
That's perfect. We can put dramatic twin. No, wait. Need to follow the thread because the dramatic twin comes in over here.
Dramatic standoff.
Yep. Let's roll paradox. Got it. The board game causes paradoxes. It all makes sense. No, it doesn't. What the hell am I saying?
If they didn't play the dragon.
They're all from alternate parallel universes, and they're all talking about the same board game, so they're probably just stuck. This is workers in warehouses.
Yeah. We're going to need Tom Hanks. Bold reference.
I have a spot for Tom Hanks.
Yep. If this is D&D movie related, you gotta have Tom Hanks.
Let's just put the dramatic standoff.
I mean, or Jeremy Irons. I don't care which one.
over here. There we go.
I feel bad for Jeremy Irons. That man tries so hard. Plays in such terrible movies. He tries so hard. You can see it. Like he really, really wants it to do well, but
Okay.
he needs to make better life choices. He's in 2 movies with dragons that bomb. I just realized that. Dungeons and Dragons and Aragon. And he's also in Batman.
Right here.
Which one?
Most dragon movies tend to bomb for some
Yeah, because
reason.
they don't do them right.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like, I'm a big angry dragon. Wow, like Rain of Fire, which is a terrible movie, or
Oh, yeah. There we go.
any, I can't even think of anything other than, oh.
One more on the chair.
Oh my god. It's getting meta, guys. It's a bunch of furries in a room discussing an overly complex plotline.
Uh-oh.
Are the kobolds furries? Is that what they're in the trench
They're just
coat?
the
It's actually a
kobolds.
fursuit.
Should that go with the narrator kobolds that are telling the story?
I think so.
Yeah.
That could
Exactly.
totally be part of the ending too.
That's true. It could be the where the
But
paradox
why
is
is there
all.
so many paradoxes?
I don't know if I can pull the string that well. But here's the thing. It's like a cameo, so it only shows up in one of the storylines. And I think the best one for this purpose is going to be putting it in our gelatinous friends storyline.
It's kind of like an Austin Powers cutaway.
Yep.
Just totally fourth wall breaking.
Guys, that's actually the build-up this entire time. I've planted 4 audience members and been secretly constructing a meta-breaking narrative.
I would probably write this
Let's see.
for like $1,000. But
This is all still about Long Sword and Twilight.
boo. We don't say that
Okay.
around here.
So, we've almost got our story. But like every story, we need a conclusion. And there is still a murder mystery to solve. So,
Or,
who did it?
yep, probably need who done it.
And why are they at the wedding? Because everything converges on the wedding.
That's where the big announcement's made, is at the wedding. Like, I know who did it. And the wedding, like, the DJ stopped short and, like, people putting, like, cake halfway. And then detective, you know, kind of like a Clouseau moment.
We need someone who really likes dual chords and sticky daggers.
Oh no. Sarathan. It was dragon number 4.
No, not dragon number 4.
Okay.
He's the one who owns the game. Now we can't play it. No.
He was the rules arbiter, Sarathan. No wonder he killed somebody. He only ever got to play the NPCs.
As someone who's been the consummate DM for their group for like 12 years, I can confirm. Every once in a while, you just want to be a player.
Same. Okay. This looks fantastic. Everybody did a great job. I love the insanity. Let's try and figure out this metaverse in one cohesive explanation. I'm not taking any more cards. Aww. Maybe I'll take a few cards right after we finish. All right. So, to set our scene, we have a dark screen. You hear a kobold's voice narrating in. As he starts following...
Deep voice.
I pinned it to the thing. As he starts following the adventures of our protagonist, the accident quote cat, as he awakens in a Fantasyland. No. Yeah. It's explaining the story. I guess there's some backstory about 13 dragons. And then we get our protagonist. Subsequently, he meets the necromancer first, who takes him to the gelatinous cube, and then the necromancer just jumps into the gelatinous cube. Then... God, this is hard to follow. This is perfect. You guys did a great job. Then somehow, the accident-prone cat loses an eye. Probably for trying to also jump into the gelatinous cube, but there's a sticky dagger in there. Don't worry, that's a little plot-relevant fact we're going to get to in like 2 seasons. Here's the fun part. They go through a little unnecessary time travel, probably end up in the future, where there's singed drop bears for some reason. But good news, the singed drop bear attack, they're saved by 15 werewolves. One of the werewolves is wielding the sticky dagger from the gelatinous cube that we saw before the time travel. And then a wedding happens. I guess this is considered a whirlwind romance right here. The end. First season always got its bumps. A little bit tricky to follow. But second season, we start with our narrative kobolds again. And of course, they initially have to focus on our accident-prone cat. Everybody thinks you're following the same protagonist. Boom! Plot whiplash. You've got the 13 dragons again, because they're very important in every storyline. They're just as cohesive as the gels. But it's actually about Oscar the goldfish. I can't keep walking around this thing. Oscar the goldfish and his sidekick Grunkle, which is his grandpa uncle. Don't worry, it won't be explained. Apparently the Grunkle needs to do some extensively boring algebra that leads absolutely nowhere because it's plot relevant. Maybe, probably not. However, that extensively boring algebra creates the poorly animated cyberpunk character bent on getting revenge on their ex-employer, Project Red, which I think we were saying Oscar was a developer for. Yeah. And now the fun part, this individual has a... Oh, I need to loop that. There we go. This individual that has been coded into existence and is after their, ex-employer, has the murder mystery clue, an abandoned workers and warehouses board game, which is also a magic item, which leads to a dramatic standoff. Subsequently, let's go with, which do you think would have the Maltese pool toy? No, that's why, Inflation King. I was going to say, this had another beat in somewhere in here. Magic item gets affected, blows up Oscar the goldfish. There's shattered glass everywhere. It is not a great time. I mean, maybe for some people. Cuts down to the Maltese pool toy, which is how they're going to fix this curse. We have our setting over here. It smash cuts to the beach episode where they're playing workers in warehouses. This might be a flashback. It's not very clear in the narrative. But regardless, somebody ends up losing an eye, particularly Oscar, which is funny because Oscar has now been through more accidents than the accident-prone cat. This also leads to a dramatic standoff. Unsure why. But it's resolved through a paradox. Are these the same standoffs? Like, is there just 2 Oscars, one without an eye, one with an eye, just standing there?
Yes, his evil twin.
Yeah, his evil twin. The eye patch.
Oh, his evil twin is him from the future. Got it.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, and then it was resolved with paradox, which resulted in Oscar being miraculously saved by his father, also known as Grunkle's brother. And then there was a wedding, where somebody explained who did it, which was Dragon number 4. I can't pull the string over to that one. And then our last storyline, the subsequent added additional one where they actually tied everything up because they realized they weren't getting 6 seasons of this. Once again, we start with the 3 kobolds. It smash cuts to the board to a bunch of furries discussing an overly complicated plotline. The board is like 6 times larger than the one that we have here. It's, crosses through the 13 Dragons again, because they need to have that 13 Dragons backstory in every single season.
That's the intro song.
Oh! We have Cubesy's backstory, because we've seen him a few times now. He keeps dispensing wisdom. He needs to be in this one too. There we go. There you go, Cubesy. Now you're consistently canonical. But we finally get Cubesy's much needed backstory, because everybody's been wondering about the Squelching Cube expositing backstory. Then there is a stoic stare without exposition. Is that the cube or the necromancer doing the stare?
Both.
Both? Okay, different directions then. And this one goes up here, where somebody loses an eye during the stoic stare, which means it's probably the cube. Which leads to the eye patch evil twin, which subsequently gets the filler arc for the season, which I also pinned this one down. But it's the filler arc featuring Dr. Robotnik and Robbie Rotten teaming up to take down the Suicide Squad because they stole QB's eye. And this all occurs in a steampunk land where everything is powered by crystals, which also explains where the Maltese pool toy came from. And then it was resolved with a paradox, which is how the Maltese pool toy from over here ends up way over there. Evil twins. I don't know why it was resolved first and then the evil twin showed up, but
Paradox.
plot holes, paradoxes, it's all fine.
You forgot your alcohol.
This is the point that storyline comes across the 15 werewolves. They're just getting ready for their LARP. And then, Cubesy goes to the wedding and discovers that there was a murder mystery that he was deeply involved with the entire time. Yay! Woo! Cool. Only 10 minutes over, and we started 10 minutes late, so perfect. Okay, now I need to cut the threads and tie this off, and then go see if the charity auction will take it.
No, what's that?
Just mind if I try totaling it?
Go for it.
Oh, yeah. You see, it's on Marvel, though. We know who to go after.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.